Welcome everyone to the RTG Baseball Podcast, where we travel down the road to glory 1 week at a time. We're going to break down the week that was in fantasy, check out the leaders in the league, and then pivot to this week's IRL Baseball topic, exciting trades over the years. I'm your host and commissioner, Coach Will, and I'm joined tonight by your resident Red Sox fan and serial third place finisher, Coach Andrew.
Teacher's back.
Indeed. I listened to you and Coach Jamie's episode, and it was satisfactory. You passed.
Passing
You both
grade.
passed. Indeed. Yep. Well, this is the difference. Once you've advanced past elementary and high school, and you're a college student, you now understand it's about passing. Like it's like you just need to be able to
C's got degrees.
continue on your path, and then your real challenge is like workforce and do well in a job. Like for many careers, it's not gonna be like the 4.0 that becomes successful. It's like what you actually learned, like all like your applicable skills, and being allowed to continue taking classes.
And much like with baseball players, your past achievements are nice, but what have you done for me lately? It's great that you're MVP. 3 seasons ago, but what can you do for me at this trade deadline?
Yeah, well, and it's not. It's like, what are you about to do for me? Is the most accurate thing, because even what have you done for me lately? Like, you just had
Might
a
not
hot
be
streak, but
predictive
like,
necessarily.
right? Like I need to trade for you, so you're good right now. Or I mean, if you're there's different reasons to trade for someone, but if you're trading for someone to help you now, it's just, what do I think this player is about to provide my team, and is it what my team needs? When you're the Yankees, don't trade for people who are already injured, which is what we do all the time. When you need help now, you try like we had.
Sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of the Kyle Schwarber trade in 21.
I mean, yeah, also bad. In fact, worse, because in 2021, it was not, I feel like if I remember correctly, it was not assured you would make it at all. And it would have been nice to bank wins in August versus waiting until September.
Nah, it was fine. It was fine. He wasn't out that long.
And then you end up in a 1-game wild card where all could have gone wrong.
Yeah. It all went right.
Yeah, it didn't, but it could have gone wrong.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
So now some housekeeping for the league. We just had, if you guys didn't notice, our second of 2 double matchups, because it was also our second extended matchup. It went from the 3 days or 4 days after the All-Star break, and then the following week, which was last week. So just like the first matchup, what I just had to do is adjust everyone's score to cut your points in half, because CBS calculates the points by adding up all your points in all your matchups, so it double counted your double matchup, which we don't want. So you'll notice from like Monday to today, or whenever you're listening to this, you look at it, your score, your points for is lower, your score is lower, but it's just everyone's been cut in half across the board. So like proportionally, everything's the same. If you lost last week, you still lost last week.
Darn.
So just keep that in mind. Somehow I lost both my double matchups, and like I got crushed by Nate, and then I should have been able to take advantage of Aaron Judge being down against Show, and somehow like he just barely got past me on Sunday. It was one of those situations where he was 10 points ahead of me, and all my players are done, and all his players are done except a closer. So I was like, okay, I need his closer to come in and then blow the save so that he loses points. And then I could do it.
Yeah, not exactly the most surefire path to victory.
No, and unfortunately, it did not happen. So we lost. Very sad. And with the newly adjusted standings, they're actually the story of the season is taking shape, and I like the storylines that have been created. And let's start with your storyline. So, because things have not gone right for you, you find yourself in, let me just adjust for the matchup. So it's period 16. You find yourself in 10th place. Not great on a 3-game losing streak right now. Uh, Far from the playoffs, dangerously far from the playoffs.
Some would say too far.
Yes, some would say that. So the question becomes: under the current format, does having you pack your bags and just turn off CVS for the whole season? I hope not,
No.
because I've decided differently than that.
Well, I do think, in terms of playoff equity, it's not great for Scott's Tots, but, um, I don't think that means that it's not worth, um, competing in the losers bracket.
Yes. PSA, the losers bracket slash constellation bracket was
It's the
rebranded. It
losers
is now
bracket.
called the Draft Pick Bowl. So it's the DPB. And we're actually going to remind people how that works. But even other than the playoffs and Draft Pick Bowl, my advice for someone who's decided that the odds are too great for them to make the playoffs is, so trade deadlines pass, so you're not changing your fortunes by trade, but you can still change your fortunes by your free agency ads for the rest of the season. So you want to prioritize who you might keep or not keep, or maybe like you just try somebody out, get someone on your team. If this was decided in the off season of this year, any waiver ad period is around 7. Now you're not gonna find like absolute steals because like if you sort by total points, you're like, oh my god, this guy's a free agency right now. It's probably because they're injured and they're injured like into next year too. So like maybe not even worth round 7. That's up to you. You got to figure that out. Um, but maybe exciting. The guy who hit 4 home runs, legendary moment last week, Nick Kurtz, he was just waiver ad at some point. In fact, we had an episode. It might have even been when Kevin was on with us talking about just like the problems of having too many first basemen, and Nick Kurtz was like the guy I think he called out. So there's like just people who just might already called up. You want to give a chance. Um, I'm curious, would for that type of thing, would you target pitchers more to give a shot on your team, or are you looking for an impact hitter to give a chance in your
Hmm,
team to find out if you want to keep them or not?
it's a good question. Um, and I think what I would look for is, um, 2 things I think would be interesting are, are these players that have had actual change of scenery in real life baseball? Have they been, traded to a contender? Um, or have they, you know, recently recovered from some injury? I'd be looking for reasons why, um, I would expect them to, you know, start performing now when perhaps they weren't up until this point.
And ideally, with kind of a look to next year, like it would be like project yourself into the future when you're deciding who you like. And you see like articles like this guy had a big second half, so big things are expected of him in 2026. So like maybe like noticing, or someone gets traded at the end of this week in the real MLB trade deadline. And because they got traded, that team calls somebody up to
Mm.
take that person's spot. And maybe that's the person you give a shot on your team, see if they impress you for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I
no,
also
that's
wonder, like, if you look at your own team, and I don't know, you'll decide this in the off season, but maybe the person you most like on your team that's not like a high round keeper is Red Sox Marcelo Meyer. And if that's the case and you keep him, then he's your round 7 keeper already. And I wonder, like, do you find yourself wishing maybe we had that, like, the rule that defaults someone to 7 happened twice? So, like, defaults to 7, and then if you already have a 7, defaults to 8, like, giving you, like, one more kinda wild card
yeah,
player.
that'd be interesting. And the other thing too is, and I don't remember how many games he's played and what the exact rule is on rookie eligibility. Um, that would be another interesting angle.
Oh, it's just MLB rookie eligibility. So, like, whatever
But would we
the
still be able
service
to keep
time.
him? Like, say he came up for a couple games or a September call up, which wasn't the case now. Would you then be able to still keep him in your minor league slot?
Um, if at the end of the season he is exceeded rookie eligibility in, like, real life baseball, then you cannot keep him as a minor league player. He becomes just like any other player, which is gonna be around 7.
But if he doesn't exceed that, then in theory you could put him back on.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. Which I think is like Dylan Cruz of last year of the Nationals was like that. Um, but yeah, so like um if the person you acquired, that minor leaguer, were to get called up, but then like immediately gets called sent back down, then that's the same thing. Then you could, if you want to, keep them as a minor leaguer,
Yeah.
which will go up. So like just so last year we had one minor league slot. This year we have 2 minor league slots. Next year 3, and then we'll see if I want to end at 3. That's at some point there'll be no more minor leaguers. Um, yeah, I've kind of been wondering if we want to just expand
Expand.
that kind of
Yeah.
defaults to 7, or maybe if I want to play hardball a bit, it goes the other way. Like, oh, you can keep another person for round 7, but that means you have to go up, so that person's round 6. And maybe even that applies for anyone. Like, if you wanna keep 2 people who are both round 2, you can do that, but one of them becomes round 1. Maybe
Gotcha.
that might be so that means, like, actually, you can always keep 7 players, it's just that they're gonna go up in value.
Yeah.
That might be interesting because that's like a
I don't hate that.
easy to understand rule. It's just every time you don't have a pick available, then it's the next highest pick.
Yeah. That seems reasonable.
Yeah, these are the things I've been thinking of. If you listening have an opinion on our keeper rules, feel free to talk about it in the RTG Baseball Facebook chat,
Yeah, I mean,
and we will
another,
discuss.
you know, thing too is, we could also look into just expanding the number of um, keepers. I mean, I think the fact that it goes down um, every time does sort of self-regulate pretty well.
Yeah, it's just that like I've noticed like it has to line up perfectly where like you have the correct, like if like imagine if you traded for a player and you're all excited about him, but that player's round value is the same as another one of your good players. Under this year's rules, you can only keep one of them. And
Mhm.
I don't allow draft pick trading, and I probably won't budge on that, but if someone wants to suggest it, they can. So without draft pick trading, you're just stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of that. But I also don't want like suddenly you can have someone kept in round 10 and then you're keeping them probably for the next 6 years, let's say, until they're old.
Yeah, that's also
But
true.
that's not so bad if like you have to keep filling up your next highest round slot until eventually you have no more. And you probably wouldn't do that. Like at some point, if you have to keep
You'd
someone
probably
in
just
round
have
2,
better
you're just
value.
not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of leaning that way. But I mean, this year has happened, so that's unless we get like a unanimous vote for rule change, that would affect the 2026 season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely in favor of um different options for teams to strategically um work their way out of the bottom, um and also not just totally give up at the end of the season. Um
Yeah,
cuz
because right now everyone probably has one tough decision, which is who will I keep as my round 7? Because
yeah.
probably somebody is worth keeping in your round 7.
Mhm.
Not guaranteed, but likely. There's somebody out there, even on waivers maybe, that you would give a shot to. Uh, and it'd be nice for more of those. And it just gets harder and harder because it's if you want to keep another one as round 6, you want to keep another one now it's
Yeah.
round 5. So I like the idea of that. But I got a little bit lost in the sauce there. What I want to talk about is what to do if you're the 12th, 11th, 10th, and 9th uh place teams right now. And 8th, sorry. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you're one of those teams, I kind of was a little bit too extreme in previous podcast episodes where I said that if you're last place, you get nothing. It's not, it's almost that. So if you're not in the playoffs, you want to be in the draft pick bowl. You may recall that our draft was a standard draft. So if you have the number 1 overall pick, then you are picking first in every round. So you want the number 1 pick, to say it plainly. To get the number 1 pick, you need to win the draft pick bowl, which is a 4-person tournament. You win twice. You've done it. The way it's organized is that the 9 seed and the 10 seed will face each other in round 1. The 8 seed, so the person closest to making the playoffs but who didn't, they will face the winner of a play-in between 11 and 12. So if you're 11th or 12th, you risk not being in the draft pick bowl at all, and you have to win that like play-in week. But if you do, then you face the 8th seed, and then it's just like how you expect a tournament to go. The winners face each other. And then that all breaks down with whoever won that tournament gets the number 1 pick. Whoever came runner up gets the number 2 pick. Third is the 3rd round pick, and fourth is the 4th round pick. Whoever between 11 and 12, whoever lost that game just instantly gets the number 5 pick because they can't participate in the tournament at all. So Andrew, how are you prepared if its rumors are true and your eyes are not set on the playoffs this year? What assurances can you give your fans that you will show up for this draft pick bowl?
Well, uh we're already pretty close to um striking distance for the 9 seed. Um,
The top seed you want is 8.
yes, but you have to hit 9 before you hit 8, so
All right, touche. Fair
so
enough.
that is step A, move from 10 to 9. Uh, step step B is to go for 8. I mean, uh, taking a look at who is ahead, um in terms of uh, points for, the gap isn't massive. Um, and unsurprisingly, my points against, I am top of the league. Um, so
It is pretty amazing for that to continue being true through the whole season. It
I'd
is
like to think
quite
that
remarkable.
that will regress to the mean, but uh, you know, I mean, in theory, it should, right? In that in the consolation bowl, the draft pick bowl.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. You would think that your quality of opponent is lower. So you really only need to compare yourself to the other people who might be in the DPB.
Exactly.
Now the tricky thing for you is obvious is I guess that maybe there's some like playing with the matchups going on. Like, do you you would I designed this assuming the most favorable matchup is against either 11 or 12, and we'll see if that ends up being true. Um, but if you fail to get to 8, then you know you're facing like if you're 9, you're facing 10.
Yeah. There's incentives throughout, so it it's just in your best interest to move as high up as you can. And with the trade deadline come and gone, there's no incentive to, you can't sell off any players, so you have no reason not to compete.
Now we'll see if I can help you this week. So I am facing Coach Faraj, who is ahead of you. Uh, you though are facing uh quite difficult opponents. Right now, you're facing Nick, and then in the second to last and last games, you're facing coaches Brian and Coach Mehtab. Coach Mehtab, who has stormed back, actually back to 500, over 500. In fact, he must have swept his double week. But you do get the reprieve next week against Team Legit Queen Stays.
Yeah, we're gonna be looking to get a little revenge there.
Some might call it a must win,
Yes.
or perhaps a can't lose is more accurate.
Indeed.
uh, yeah, I think also, look, it could be playing with fire, but there might come a time where you start to look ahead to the round one of the DPB and try to like get find starting pitchers who are going to have a two-start week in that week and get them on your team now, or look at September matchups and like who's playing at Colorado and get those batters on your team now, even if they're not going to
Yeah,
be good like in these weeks.
I don't know if I would trust probable pitching matchups this far out, but you could look into. I would trust team matchups a little more, but the pitching matchups, you know, change all the time, and it's always TBD. So might be a little early, at least
Yeah,
for me.
just to plug the importance of not being 11th or 12th again. Not being 11th or 12th gets you this virtual bye that happens because those two teams
Uh,
are going to face each other by themselves. Uh, so you get a week off to plan things and get yourself all lined up. So, um, maybe also I don't think anyone's close to this, but make sure you don't have $0 in free agent budget because then everyone can outbid you. So have something left over for that because everyone else also has off. So everyone is trying to do the same thing. So, just keep that in mind. So that's the story of the people who are trying to be in the draft pick bowl. Um, this is maybe is less impactful, but also for the people that make the draft pick bowl, they get to participate in the minor league draft, which is when you can add a minor leaguer before everybody else. So it could be good. It could change everything for you, maybe. Um, Now, for the people who are actually trying to make the playoffs, so that's 1 through 7. The storyline really appears to be um Brian, Eric, and Jamie. So we'll see how long it's those 3 teams, but they've really been hovering around each other for most of the season. And right now they're all 9-9 in a three-way tie for 6th, 7th, and 8th. So only 2 of those 3 are actually gonna make it. And for one of them, it'll be heartbreak. And yes, I know like Mehtab and I it could all go wrong for one of us, but I'm confident it's not gonna go wrong for all of us. We will survive. But all eyes are really gonna be on all of them. I'm gonna click on their schedules right now, but just knowing their track records, is there anyone you would bet on between Brian or Eric or Jamie?
Well, I will say if we look at my trusty points for and points against, there's actually quite a big gap between these 3 teams. Um, Brian is at over 10,000 points for, and it's almost a 600, was that 600 point drop? Um, till you get to Coach Eric, and then almost a 400-point drop then till you get to Jamie. Um, so there's definitely, some separation there. Um, but I'd love to actually take a look at, um, total points over the last couple weeks for each of these teams. Uh,
I can get that to you if you wanna just keep talking about them.
sure.
Um, yeah, it sounds like you have the least faith in Jamie, though.
Well, just taking a quick look at this, but that doesn't paint the whole picture. It could be that he had a rough start and has, uh, been storming back. And if that's the case, then, maybe that flips that theory on its head. Yeah, so maybe that's what I should, really be eyeing is like the last, month's worth of points being more predictive.
Well, I have just generated a custom report of points from June 29th to, uh, today, to July 29th. And the only asterisk here is that it is splitting up pitching and hitting, so it will take some mental math. But in hitting, in the last 4 weeks, it goes Eric with a big lead in hitting, and then Jamie and Brian with similar totals. And then pitching, Brian is way ahead in pitching with Eric. Actually, Jamie and Eric right next to each other. Actually, no, Jamie has the advantage. This is kind of interesting. Then uh I'll get the sum, but just eyeballing it, it still looks like Brian has the overall advantage, even though he's behind both of them in hitting. He is way ahead both of them in pitching in the last 4 weeks.
That is interesting. And so that's being led by, um, yeah, that's right. He's got Scooble, Ramber, Yamamoto. I mean, these are pretty reliable.
Yeah, well, and if you tuned in to the YouTube only All-Star episode of this podcast, I did, award the Butter Boys with the pitching team of the first half award.
It seemed like
And
that
for
has
good
just
reason, I
continued.
feel like. Yeah, what's actually even more exciting is, they are all facing each other, like like,
Ooh.
down the stretch. Like, right now, um, who is it? Is it Brian and, I'll tell you right now. Right now, Brian and Eric are facing each other, like, this week. Uh, and actually, Brian oh, sorry, did I say Brian? What I meant to say is Eric. Eric and Brian are facing each other. Eric just faced Jamie as part of his double matchup, where he beat him and you. And then Brian will face Jamie next week. So what's funny though, like they're all facing each other now, but then by matchup 19, the second to last, they're done with each other. So then it all comes down to their own matchups. So for example, let's see if this final thing might change your mind. So starting with Brian, he is facing Eric now, then Jamie, then you, and then me. So Brian is Eric, Jamie, you, me. Then Jamie is facing Show right now, then Brian, then Nick, and then Phil to end the season. So Show, Brian, Nick, Phil. And lastly, Eric is facing Brian right now, then Nick, then Phil, then Viraj.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, Jamie's gonna have to go through some tough opponents to but, I mean,
My
that's
my
the
mental
fun
math
part.
was right, by the way. It is Brian, then Eric, then Jamie in total points over the last 4 weeks.
So it seems pretty consistent then with the, season-long trends.
Indeed. And I also, from these matchups, I like Eric's matchups the most.
Yeah.
But it really, I mean, this is the week for him against Brian. If he wins this, he's sitting pretty good because even if he loses to Nick next week, he should be able to defeat Phil and Faraj in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think Jamie probably has the toughest path, um, but still very much so achievable.
And to be clear, I might have been I probably should have emphasized this more. You don't need to be the best of these three. You need to be the second best,
Yep.
at least. So that really
Just
does lead
can't
this
be
right. So
last.
that don't be
Don't
last.
you don't need to be the fastest, but you can't be the slowest.
Yeah, because just imagine the heartbreak. We'll end the fantasy section here. Imagine the heartbreak of you don't make it in, so you're kicked to the uh draft pick bowl, and then like any given matchup, anything could happen. So you could just lose to the like 11th seed, and then suddenly you're 11th for the whole season. But that's how it goes. I mean, you got to show up every week, so it's not my problem if you got demoralized and then didn't get your 2-star pitchers, and then you just lose in the draft pick bowl.
And much like in, MLB, there's plenty of spots to get in. So, if you can't get in, then, that's also on you.
Yep, yep. So very exciting. I mean, this is going to be the storyline for the rest of the season. So we ran out of time to really talk about the like top of the leagues, but the top of the league will be fine. That's Nate and Show and Nick.
They're
So
just jostling for position.
yeah. I'll just throw out if you recall from really all our other seasons, the line is the first two. The top two seeds get to skip the play-in round and the first round. So that's what you want. It really seems like that's gonna be a fight between just Nate, Show, and Nick. It's unlikely someone else will be able to get part of that, but you never know. We'll see. With that, uh, let's talk real life. So the real you and Jamie hypothesized about some trades last episode, and I don't want to do exactly that, but I was just trying to think of just like the most exciting trade deadline trades that you remember, whether for your own team or just baseball wide exciting trades. Because there's a lot of people saying that this year's trade deadline will it will end up having been boring. And we'll see if they're right. But it just got me thinking, like, how many other trade deadlines were quote unquote boring?
Yeah, I mean, the the trade for me that will always, you know, epitomize what a trade deadline could be and just ingrained in my memory as a young baseball fan was the three-way trade involving the the Red Sox, the Cubs, and the Twins that sent Nomar uh, to Chicago and uh, uh, Doug Mankiewicz to Boston. It was dramatic, shocking, and many would argue, you know, one of the key factors in, you know, allowing the Red Sox to win that year. And a trade involving multiple teams, which you don't really see a whole lot of these days. And I kind of miss that.
It's very rare. I was even trying to do it in a different fantasy league, and I'm like, this is hard. Like I hadn't even reached out to the two people yet because I was trying to like get it straight in my head of like how to even persuade them both that this is worth doing, and I just couldn't do it. I never even reached out. I just gave up on the idea entirely. I'm sure the headlines there were "No ma, no more."
Yeah.
I assume that was on the newspaper headline.
Yeah, it was a rude awakening to the business side of baseball for young Andrew.
Yeah, and a weird like sad trade yet done to be better, which doesn't come up often.
But I do think a
Right.
lot of GMs like to think that they're pulling off something like that. Um, yeah, because it does kind of feel like these days, it's harder to, pull off the trades like, you know, Tampa did with, you know, Chris Archer, where they, dump him right before, he sort of falls off a cliff. And I
Oh,
think
so I thought you were going the other way. I thought you were saying like, oh, because they traded him again, didn't they? I forgot. I forget. I think it was like another Archer trade afterwards. He might have come back.
I could also
But
be
yeah,
mixing them up, but I do
yeah,
remember there was one.
but you're talking Austin Meadows and Tyler
Yeah,
Glass now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think GMs are just kind of worried about. They're very risk averse, and they're worried about getting fleeced. And I do wonder how much of that too is due to the fact that um it is easier to get into the playoffs, so you don't have to necessarily take the biggest risks, just to get in.
Well, and there's fewer people who feel like they are sellers. It probably
That
means
too.
that it's true that the trend of excitement is down. Like over the more teams made the playoffs, the less exciting a trade deadline has been. But I actually enlisted the help of a Gemini AI, and just to remind myself of most exciting trades over the past like 25 years to at least give me like a headliner. And from what I can tell, almost every year still had like a headliner trade at least. But I imagine the further back you go, the more headliners there were. Whereas like lately, it'd be like one really big trade.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels that way. How much of that is, um, you know, the effects where the trades that are big stand out and accumulate over the years. So it seems like it was more exciting. Kind of like how you'll hear you know songs on the radio, and it seems like, oh man, they only had great songs, back in whatever year. And it's like, well, they're just picking, uh, they're not playing the bad ones, uh, from that era.
Yeah. No, you're right. But like last year, if we work backwards, I know the Yankees, we got Jazz Chisholm Jr. That was probably like the most useful thing that we got. Longtime Tampa Ray, Randy Arozarena would be sent to the
Mm,
Mariners, but like he wasn't doing well, at least relative to what Arozarena usually did.
yeah.
Um, the Tigers trade away players, including Jack Flaherty, to the Dodgers. So that didn't feel that interesting at the time, but like in retrospect, maybe if they kept Jack Flaherty, they would have gone further in the playoffs. So that was kind of interesting. But nothing like I don't know, none of that's like, oh, big big tree.
No, I mean, well, we did kind of have a dramatic trade. It was just not at the deadline with Rafael Devers. I mean, if that happened at this
Oh,
deadline,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
we would call that, that I
You're
mean,
right.
that would
You're
go
right.
down as one of the most dramatic in recent memory, but it happened before the deadline, so we'll probably remember it, a little differently.
Yeah, and obviously there's gonna be I mean, there's off-season trades too. But that's an interesting, like, gray area. You're right. Like, that is a huge trade in star power and contract. The combination of those 2 things actually being traded is insane.
Yeah.
So yes, that's definitely an aberration in this year. Because going further back, Juan Soto gets traded at the trade deadline in
Mhm.
2022. That's huge. I mean, that is clearly
Yeah,
a big thing. Um,
that was big,
that's funny. For the
and then he
COVID
played
season,
for
they're like,
7
Starling
teams after
Marte was
that.
traded to the Marlins. Yes.
Mhm.
Um, they talk about the Yankees 2016. That trade deadline will always stand out because that's like one of the only times ever the Yankees have been a seller at any deadline in like the current age of the past 30 years. So I'll always remember that. Yoenis Cespedes, one of his various trades was to the Mets one of those years. John Lester would be traded to the
Yeah,
Athletics.
that was a big one.
Uh, they called out Hanley Ramirez to the Dodgers. That was 2012. I mean, that probably did feel big at the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have the juice for the trade deadline that I mean, basically, I only get excited if a trade happens, but I'm not like anticipating a big trade.
Yeah. Yeah, like, the only really somewhat big trade I've heard about everyone saying Suarez to the Yankees, but he just got hurt, didn't he?
He got hit in the hand. I don't know if they said if it's a I would just lie if I was Diamondbacks. He'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way to,
Yeah.
uh
Yeah. And don't worry, we will do his physical. It's fine. Yeah,
and,
that would be tragic for the I mean, maybe at that point, maybe like you become buyers and you're trying to defy the odds and make the playoffs if you can't trade Eugenio Suarez.
It does make me wonder, like, it seems like front offices are afraid to sell even when it's, like, clearly, um, in terms of World Series equity, the chances are pretty unrealistic. And I don't know if that's because I mean, I couldn't think it wouldn't think it would be because they don't wanna piss off the fans because they do plenty of other things, like not trying, that pisses off the fans. So it's like, well, that can't be it. And then, I because I do think more teams should be sellers. Like, I do think more like the Angels, like, they should be surefire sellers. The Royals, the Diamondbacks, you know, you're
Well,
if
the
you're
the the
around
Royals and
500.
Angels. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and the Royals and Angels are actually under 500, but 4.5 back of the wild card.
Yeah,
So it's possible, although the Royals just lost one of their best starting pitchers. So, like, maybe that's what pushes you over the edge. Like, you just suddenly get a
sure.
lot worse, and now you're like, "Okay." You can almost use as an excuse to the fans, like, "Hey, it's not our fault. He got hurt, so we're giving up."
But, I mean, it also goes back to, like, what do you deem a successful season? Is just sneaking into the playoffs and getting bounced in the wild card round, you know, do you view that as
Ugh, yeah.
successful?
Uh,
'Cause,
n Yeah.
unless I think my team has a reasonable chance to, um, threaten for the championship series, like, I don't know if I would bother.
Yeah, I mean, my view is warped. Like, the goal is to
Sure.
win the World Series. So if I don't see myself, like, having a realistic shot of winning the World Series, then it's all a failure then. And remember, I can have had a good time in the season and also we failed. Like, I enjoyed the ups of the season, but in the end, we failed when we lost in the World Series, or we lose the ALCS, whatever round. The thing is to give up when you could. Like, imagine the Boston Red Sox, who are currently hold a wild card spot, decided, we can't do it. We give up. We trade away everybody. But, like, you could make the wild card. You currently have it, and
Well, and
teams
it
go on runs in the playoffs.
and in my very unbiased opinion, I do think that the Red Sox are, um, like, substantively better than teams like the Royals and the Angels. Like, I don't think it's like, I believe in them, in their ability to go on a run in playoffs more than I do, those
So
other
then you have to
teams.
yes, then you're comparing yourself then, like, if you make the playoffs, then you're comparing yourself to the Astros and the Yankees and the Blue Jays and the Tigers, and then some NL team.
And and I and I will say, like, I don't even think it necessarily means, for those teams you fire sale, but I wouldn't be mortgaging the future for a 5% run at the championship series. If a move presents itself, uh, either, you know, soft buy or soft sell, like, I wouldn't hesitate to do that in those positions. Whereas, like, if the Phillies, I am I'm doing dumb things to give myself an extra couple percent to win the World Series because, I think, they're legitimately capable. Same with, you know, the Cubs or
Well, I think a
the
cool
Dodgers are
example
scuffling, but
is I think a cool example is the San Fran Giants. So pretend in an alternate timeline they are where they are right now, which is 1 game over 500, 4 games out of the third wild card, and out of range of their own division. So their only hope is to make up those 4 games in the wild card. And in this alternate timeline, now is when they trade for Rafael Devers, a massive move. So in this scenario, they went crazy. They absorbed a huge contract, uh, gave up their best pitching young pitcher, mostly depending on how you feel about Kyle Harrison. So that's a crazy move. They're out of the playoffs, kind of within range. Is that like the perfect mix of factors
Yeah.
where you're okay with them buying?
Well, that and the interesting thing with that trade too is the fact that they took on all the money. Um,
Well, yeah,
some not
that
every
kind of replaces the usually going crazy is you gave up like your top 3 prospects. So
yeah.
this version of going crazy is you took the entire long contract of this player.
And if you're a team that has the ability to do that, and you do believe it's like not a bad value contract, um, then I think that is the type of trade where you say, okay, you know, if we see that, we take it. But I mean, I guess that's maybe why you see all these teams sort of not doing anything is because uh, a hard sell is tough if you're, you know, 4 games out. Um, but a hard buy is irresponsible too. So everyone wants to make something sort of in between, and there's it's tough to find that deal that makes sense for both teams. It really is not like the era of, 4 teams in each league make the playoffs, so it's very clear who the buyers are, and like, you have to be good enough to be among that group, and so odds are, you know, there's not gonna be as much separation, between you and the other teams, um, so you can kinda go all in, and by the way, there's all these other teams that are definitely selling. So you have real options to choose from.
Yeah, I am disappointed in most of the division races right now, though. We got plenty of time, but right now we have a Mets versus Philly race. We
Yeah, it's
have
a real
a
one.
Brewers versus Cubs race,
It's a real one.
and at the moment, no other teams are racing for divisions.
Yeah.
But we have a whole like 2 months to go. But
I mean,
just
who would have predicted, coming into the season that the Blue Jays would run away with it? I mean,
Blue
everyone
Jays,
was talking about how the window had shut and, they're going to get rid of these guys. Like, what a failure. They were approaching, to a lesser degree, obviously, but, you know, their storyline was kind of going along the lines of the White Sox, where or the Orioles, where it's like, up the core was there and it failed, but now they're leading the division.
oh yeah, and they are they're beating us, like the division rivals, are also being able to compete with the outside of the division people. They were kinda laughed at for Vlad Guerrero just because, like, really? You're gonna extend them when, like, your team's going nowhere? But suddenly, your team at least this year, your team's going somewhere. There I would just like to say, though, run differential is lower than the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Tampa Rays. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll turn around eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I will say personally, I don't have a lot of faith in Blue Jays. I think they're gonna come crashing back down to earth pretty soon, but who knows?
But the thing is, like, even if they do, like, they're building up a big enough lead that, like,
Sure.
w if when that happens, like, they're still amongst all the wildcard teams. Like, right now, the playoffs are likely for the Blue Jays, which I did not predict at all.
Yeah. No, I don't think any people did except for crazy folks from Toronto.
And to wrap this up, my beloved Colorado Rockies are sitting at 28
Sell,
and 78.
sell, sell.
They're considering whether to sell. They did trade one player so far.
I guess they
We'll
don't
see
really
if
have
they
anything to sell, do they?
trade anyone else. That's the worst part. We talked about this one
Like, who
like
did they who do
before,
they have? I
like they're dreadful. So like we traded for Ryan
was
McMahon,
gonna
and some
say,
people are excited about him. He's a 215 hitter, like below 100 OPS plus, and he has great defense. That's what he's good at. And he's like one of maybe their top trade asset they had. So not great. Not a great situation for the Rockies. I don't know how you get out of this. You hope you win the draft lottery and draft Paul Skeens. That's what you do.
yeah,
That's that's the game plan. A negative 266 run differential. Truly a
that's tough.
disaster.
They could employ um the time tested internet strategy of trading all of your bad players for other teams' good players,
you
which is what Red
know,
Sox and Yankees fans always
it's
seem to want to do.
it's a bold move, but give some like glitches in the computer systems. It might just work. I've always wondered, like, how does someone accept a trade? Like, is there a button? Do I have to like fill out paperwork? What do I have to do?
Yeah, I mean
And
the
how can I
rumors.
mess it up?
I mean the rumors I've heard is back in the you know days before things were digital. The deadline itself was much more of a fuzzy line in the sand than it was a hard deadline. You know, because of that. But I think it's a little more firm these days, and I'd assume it's
Right?
digital.
What if you need to click a button on your computer, but then at like that exact moment, like the network goes out, and because of that, you can't get it in time, and then your trade doesn't go through. It'd be so
Yeah, I
sad.
mean, something tells me they have a contingency for that. But
And then you gotta call. I mean, do they? Because like in my job, I make sure that the hospitals have a backup laptop connected to a printer, both of them plugged into emergency power that goes to a generator. Is that really like in Brian Cashman's office? Does he have emergency power
I
in
don't
there?
think that so much as like they just have a protocol probably for like, well, if this isn't working, then you write whatever down and then we'll give someone a
Call Rob
call.
Manfred and just
Yeah.
like, please, Mr. Manfred, you gotta believe us. We agreed to this.
I mean, they're his boss, so
It's funny. But all right, so next time we talk, we will know who got traded and who didn't. So I'm very curious if it will turn out that we got an exciting trade by whatever definition you want to use, or if it continued to be ho hum deadline.
my money is on the latter.
Very well. We'll see if the Rockies can surprise you. What if the Rockies trade all their top prospects for like a
Shohei
superstar
Ohtani.
for Shohei Ohtani and then trade Shohei Ohtani to like restock their farm system? How about that? It's
70
a
chess.
indeed, exactly. That's what when you are 30 games out of a playoff spot before the trade deadline. These are the type of moves you gotta figure out.
Yeah.
But all right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another week of the Road to Glory Baseball podcast. Hope everyone has a fun MLB trade deadline and an exciting final stretch of the seasons. As we speak, 4 matchups left. It's go time. Until then, and until we speak again, ciao.